So, dear colleagues, I'm delighted to welcome you to our panel, Education and Science in China's Global Competitive Leadership. So we hope that all presenters and participants are here, and we're looking forward to a very productive and interesting discussion and your participation. We kindly ask all the participants that not presented at the moment to turn off your audio, not to disturb the participation in the conference. Thank you. Thank you. So my name is Natalia Cherkas, and I'm honored to moderate this section, this panel. I'm a doctor in economic sciences, senior research associate at Kyiv National Economic University, and academic coordinator of Creative Spark program in Frankfurt am Main. I used to be a Fulbright scholar and invited lecturer at University of Reading, United States, and Friedrich Schiller University, Jena, and the European University, Viadrina in Germany. And first of all, we would like to thank the organizers of this event for all their great efforts to make these events possible. And today we begin our work with opening remarks from organizers, and now we have the opportunity to hear welcoming speech from Dr. Adam Marshalik. I hope that Dr. Adam Marshalik is with us.
Здравствуйте, дорогие коллеги. Мы очень довольны, что вы принимаете участие в седьмом азиатском форуме. Это уже традиция у нас 14 лет, когда мы организуем такие научные и бизнесовые встречи. Сначала были это конференции и бюро, а теперь это уже конгресс. Мы считаем, что в последних летах в каждом таком форуме принимало участие более 500 человек. Это импреза, которая интердисциплинарна. Там есть экономисты, юристы, историки, политологи, а также люди, связанные с бизнесом. Мы имеем очень хорошие отношения с некоторыми украинскими партнерами. В последних годах это прежде всего издательство, которого шеф Олег Головко, очень активный ученый, бизнесмен, имеет тоже хорошие отношения и связи с азиатскими партнерами, в этом прежде всего с китайскими научными центрами. Мы надеемся, что наше сотрудничество будет еще этого эффектом будут книги, которые мы будем издавать вместе на разных языках. В этом году, как вы знаете, пандемия сделала нам большую трудность, и мы в большинстве наши встречи делаем онлайн. Мы надеемся, что такой конгресс, который будет в Торунь, в мае 2021 года, будет в нормальных условиях, и вы могли приехать к нам и встретиться с другими участниками разных стран. Мы хотели бы, чтобы эффекты наших разговоров, доклады, дискуссии были записаны и опубликованы в серии книг, которые конгрессов мы издали 12 книг, которые надеемся, что в седьмом будет их тоже много. Желаю вам всего доброго, здоровья, и чтобы вы были довольны часа в этом форуме. Хотели бы тоже, чтобы наши связи с научными центрами Украины были еще лучше, и надеемся тоже, что Олег Головко и его команда будет в этом играть важную роль. Всего доброго для вас. До встречи в Торунь.
So we thank you, Dr. Adam Marszalek, who is the president of Marszalek Publishing Group, Торунь, Poland. And now, with a great pleasure, I invite to welcoming speech Dr. Олег Головко, founder of the publishing house Гельветика, Odessa, Ukraine. Welcome.
Hello, dear guests, dear participants, dear panelists. I want to express my warm welcome to our cozy Ukrainian panel, all of you who took part in this event. First of all, I want to say words of gratitude for our partners in Poland and in Ukraine and in Kyiv, Association of Ukrainian Sinologists, which give us strong support of their competence, of their knowledge in the thematics of China-EU, China-Ukrainian relations and Asia as a whole. And without you, our panel would not be so specific. So thank you, Mrs. Natalia Cherkas, and all of your members and board members of your organization. Secondly, for me, it's a great pleasure to do a Ukrainian panel, to organize, because I was in real Asian Congress only once last year in Torunь, and it was a marvelous city, perfect weather, only sun, great guests, great participants, and great event. Because all the events which are held with Mr. Adam Marszalek, they are outstanding. And I hope that next year, with this same team, with you, my colleagues, we will go to Torunь, and we'll take part in this event all together in real life. But we hope so. Second point, that my way to China, my way to Asia direction is not so long. It's only 2 years that I'm engaged in this activity, especially in the questions of publishing China books in Ukraine. And for now, I have not so big results, only 6 books and contacts with 4 publishers, but this is only the initial steps, and I think that we are on the starting point of this big route of taking China books, China literature and China culture to Ukraine and to Ukrainian scientific community. And I want to say that we tried to do a presentation of our first China books on this Congress, but due to some circumstances, we postponed it to December. So in December, we will do a presentation of our first book, which is published with our Chinese partners. But as for cooperation, I want to show you. Sorry. Today it was a presentation of another book which was organized all together with Mr. Adam. It's a book of Ukrainian historian Artem Petrik. It's a book about history of Lithuania, of the interwar period of Lithuania. And this book is published in 3 countries at one time: Ukraine, Latvia, and Poland. I want to wish good luck and good conversations, good dialogues to all of the participants. And thank you, Ms. Natalia, for the event.
Thank you very much for your speech. And now, according to the program, so I would like to set the rules, to repeat them again. So we have 10 minutes for each presentation. And I would like to offer you to leave 3 minutes for questions. And we are looking forward to active discussion and participation. So let me start first, and I will share my screen with you. So is it okay now?
Yes, okay.
Yes, thank you. So we can start with the first presentation. It was prepared together with a co-author, Professor Larissa Antoniuk from Kyiv National Economic University, and the title is Development of Academic Entrepreneurship in China. So innovation capacity is one of the fundamental sources of nation's wealth. China made great success in this area. As countries' science, technology, innovation, and educational policies have set very ambitious goals to transforming the country into world's technological leader. Today, universities are increasingly conduct joint projects with businesses, and many of them have entrepreneurship-oriented programs in higher and vocational education. So one of the programs that supports development of entrepreneurial ecosystems in China is made in China 2025. It was started in 2015 by Ministry of Industry and Information Technology of China, and pushing for leadership in some specific industries such as robotics, information technology, clean energy, among the other sectors. The program seeks to shift for China from being low-end manufacturer to high-end producer of goods. And the program has since become a bone in the contention of US President Trump's administration, and actually one of the reasons for trade war between US and China. So the question why the program is so controversial. Among its other goals, it aims that in China, the domestic content of the core components and materials will increase from 20 to 70% by 2025. Another example is tax incentives were introduced. So let me increase the presentation so it will be more visible for you. Tax incentive were introduced to development of technological incubators and university scientific parks, including preferences for development of academic entrepreneurship in China. This year, China has climbed 14th place in the global startup ecosystem rank, comparing to 27th place of last year. And the main factors helping the development new financing mechanism for small medium enterprises, and of course startup ecosystem were formed around key Chinese technology companies located in cities. In this rank offered by a global unicorn club, in top 5 most expensive startups in the world in 2020, we see that Chinese companies, they have first and second place. So ByteDance specializes in artificial intelligence, Didi is transportation, and I can tell you that among all these companies globally, the most expensive startups, Chinese companies, they take about 25%. 25% globally, and number 6 is also Chinese company specializes in transportation. According to a survey conducted by Silicon Valley Bank, the most important factors affecting companies is corporate tax and access to talent, which highlights the importance of education. So what are the main ingredients to contribute to healthy entrepreneurial ecosystem in cities? So they are culture, talent, infrastructure, global mindset, regulations, capital, know-how, rebellion, market, and communication. And according to this index of 50 best startup cities, Beijing ranked 19th place and Shanghai is 31 globally. And those two innovative cities, startups in China, their success factors include government support for mass entrepreneurship. For example, is a program providing $320 billion for venture capital and startups. Also, an entrepreneurial environment for technological business development, including high-tech zone, technological hubs, accelerators, incubators, and access to talent in world-class universities with very high-quality rankings. Number of startups and unicorns in Beijing, it's about 19% of all startups in China and 42% of all unicorns in China. In Shanghai, those numbers are about 18% of startups and 25% of unicorns. So let's look into one case study of academic entrepreneurship at Zhejiang University, with whom we have cooperation, and this ecosystem was developed based on scientific infrastructure. So here, like for example, 19 laboratories and research centers, 7 independent institutes, 36 colleges, and strong platform of academic entrepreneurship supporting commercialization of research, fundamental and applied research. Those are technology transfer network, parks, university science park, and innovative hub. Zhejiang University Science Park has achieved significant results in building a high-quality local ecosystem in academic entrepreneurship. For example, more than 1,000 speed ops, more than 300 teaching and student startup projects, and also transfer of knowledge, cooperation, close cooperation with leading international high-tech project and with leading international ecosystems. And to summarize shortly, in summary, presented case study is representative of many Chinese universities. The climate of government's innovation-driven policy creates pressure for universities into increasing interaction with industry. And it is necessary for university administrator, researcher, and academic professor to understand the concept of innovation system, the role of university in technology transfer and commercialization. I thank you very much for your attention, and shortly I summarized all the presentation. Now we'll be grateful for your question and future discussion. So if we, as for now, have no question because of time limits, we would like to welcome the next presenter, Victoria von Rosen. Victoria is Doctor, Associate Professor, and Postdoc at the Department of International Economics, Kiev National Economic University, a consultant, international academic and business projects, Kiev, Ukraine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. Victoria von Rosen, and I am a consultant of international academic and business project in Frankfurt too, in Germany. Yeah, and now about my topic today, venture business in the ecosystem of China's university. I would like to show situation in China, Germany, and partly in the USA. Now my presentation, yeah. Can you see?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. In recent years, a third mission pursued by universities, that is knowledge transfer to industry and society, has become more important as a determinant of investments in economic growth and social welfare. Universities have taken on another role as organizational centers for creating and supporting startups. So in Germany, a number of hubs are created out of academic area too. And the creation of universities spin-out companies that create wealth creation yet access to venture capital is a major impediment faced by these companies. And little bit entrepreneurship about entrepreneurship education. Entrepreneurship education contributes to startup and venture capital investment activities. There is a relationship between the level of entrepreneurship education and the level of startup investment activities. Given business concepts, teaching, and curriculum development models, and an infrastructure of entrepreneurship education conducive to a business environment. The United States is at the top in terms of startups and innovation across the world. And the largest investment belong to the first tier of large cities in the United States, East Coast, the United States West Coast, Western Europe, China, and India. And entrepreneurship education is popular and emphasized in China and the United States. At present, China is launching a strategic mass entrepreneurship and innovation campaign and plays an important role in entrepreneurial initiatives and mobilization of the society. In this aspect, the United States is lagging behind in government-supported efforts to invest in entrepreneurship, education, and initiatives. But it still actively supports entrepreneurship education by providing services for entrepreneurship strategy and research, as well as help for creating better business and an entrepreneurship environment. In China, economic development, the government's effort and policies are effective and have produced immediate results and benefits for society, as well as an entrepreneurship culture, network practice, and mutual levels that produce good outcomes. And now from China's startups report and about university ecosystem, which played a leading role in the establishment of venture business in China. China's move away from a state system that slowly depended on a common and control economy started in the 1990s. The first wave of startup began when R&D centers and universities began to provide the technology and seed capital for new startup.
Тимош, чашку неси сюда.
Spin-outs or spin-offs. This could be a group of individuals leaving a university or research center or an entire department leaving. For example, in the 1990s, 85% of the startup funds of the new technology companies founded in Beijing came from the research center or university they left. The second wave of technology investors were Chinese banks, who provide the majority of the later stage investments in the Torch program. By 1991, 70% of the Torch-funded startups were getting bank financing for expansion, and the later stage of the new venture with local governments acting as guarantors. And technology zones with science and technology industrial parks were the third source of support for new ventures. Inside the zones were Torch technology business incubators with startups licensed by the local governments. These local governments financially supported the startups because by locating in these zones, the new venture were seen as contributing to local economic development. This helped the startups qualify for funding from banks and venture capital firms. By the mid-1990s, Chinese leaders realized that the Torch program couldn't be the source of all capital for startups. At the same time, neither banks nor local governments had the cash to finance startups on the scale the country needed. The problem was that in China, the government didn't recognize venture capital firms as a legitimate organizational type. The founding of domestic venture capital firms began with the establishment of local government financed venture capital firms, followed by university-based venture capital firms. The State Science and Technology Commission and the Ministry of Finance formed the China New Technology Venture Investment Corporation in 1986. But it was a government agency supporting national technology venture policy objectives rather than a profit-oriented private enterprise. It went bankrupt in 1997. A few foreign venture capital firms, like IGI Capital Partners, entered China in the early 1990s. Gradually from the mid-1990s, the perception of venture capital shifted from its being a type of government funding to being a commercial activity necessary to support the commercialization of new technology. But
I'm sorry, dear Victoria, you have 2 minutes to finalize.
Okay, okay. Now, so we have some characteristic of this that China digital economy we can see as a leading global force. Yeah, China is in the top 3 in the world for venture capital investment in key types of digital technology, including virtual reality, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, robotic drones, and artificial intelligence. We can see that China is the world's largest e-commerce market and with startups which valued at over $1 billion. We can say that one country stands for quality, others for quantity, but then quantity goes over in quality. As they say, let's wait and see. By Confucius, only if you start with the first step, you are on your way. Innovative movement is movement forward, while it's important to start and or support this movement in time. Thank you for your attention. Yeah.
Thank you, Victoria, so much for your presentation. And do we have
10 minutes
questions? Yeah. Do we have any question among the audience? Maybe my comment, very short. As for now, venture financing and investment become one of the most important for startups in China. And do you see any the main risks of this investing?
Я, наверное, могу отвечать на русском языке, поскольку у нас аудитория представлена, насколько я увидела, да, в основном русскоговорящими. Еще раз вопрос по поводу рисков, да, которые связаны с деятельностью венчурных компаний. Да? Опять-таки у меня было на этот счет несколько слайдов, и, как я уже сказала, то есть оценить все риски, которые связаны с тем, каким образом, опять-таки, в контексте чего? В контексте формирования академической экосистемы или же в каком контексте?
Development of startups. Development.
Относительно развития деятельности стартапов. Опять-таки, это стадия начального финансирования и, так скажем, вопрос поддержки. Если этот вопрос таким образом решается, как в Германии, как раз это тоже был один из моих примеров, я не уложилась во времени, то есть это существование государственной поддержки, это существование определенных институций, которые выполняют часть нагрузку, так скажем, определенными государственными программами условий для развития деятельности стартапов, то в таких условиях на начальном этапе риски минимизированы. Эти риски возникают с прохождением следующих этапов развития деятельности стартапа. Если мы возьмем условия, допустим, те, которые создаются в Соединенных Штатах Америки, да, это начальная поддержка, но в дальнейшем своем развитии стартапы, так скажем, проходят стадию, которая связана с необходимостью самостоятельного становления. Да? И здесь опять-таки возникающие риски, которые, ну, так скажем, правило 100-10-1. Да? Одна идея, 100 идей, прошу прощения, 10 предприятий, которые состоялись, и только одно единственное, которое пошло в своем развитии дальше. Да? То есть, опять-таки, каждая система, она демонстрирует свои особенности, которые связаны с особенностями экономики, да, то есть то ли это свободный рынок, то ли это, так скажем, регулируемый капитализм, который, скажем, моя свободная трактовка, каким образом можно это определить, либо это социальная экономика, которая в Германии. В зависимости от этого формирующаяся экосистема, она на различных этапах поддерживает развитие стартапов И, так скажем, при переходе уже на самостоятельные рельсы, здесь возникающие риски, они соответствуют тем рискам, которые стоят перед любым предпринимателем и любым другим предприятием. Я ответила на ваш вопрос.
Спасибо. Спасибо, Виктория. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And now we have to Olena, National Economic University. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And now I will just try to share my screen, well, with everyone. One second. And
Please unmute your microphone.
can you hear me? Just Natalia, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, great, great.
Now,
Thank you.
everything is all right. You can hear me.
We are
Yes?
not able to see your presentation.
Can you see my
Yes,
presentation?
but we don't
now?
see your presentation.
I
Not
see.
yet.
1 second.
Not yet.
1 second, because I can see it now. I do apologize. And 1 second, just I have already. Can you see?
Yes, yes, it's starting.
Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, you
Well,
can
ladies
see.
and
Thank you.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Kyiv National Economic University, we would like to cordially invite everyone, and it's a great honor, privilege to participate in such a wonderful forum. The main objective of sharing the results of our research with all the colleagues in Ukraine and abroad is to find out the best recipe for our universities, for our country to succeed in the times of the fourth industrial revolution. So my presentation is dedicated to innovative strategies of research universities in the United States and China. And 1 second, I do apologize, just my slide doesn't obey me. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen, just the slide doesn't, just Natalia, just it doesn't.
F5 probably, because
Yes,
I don't,
I clicked
I'm not
F5,
administrator of,
but it doesn't go further.
Maybe we'll ask administrator to help us in the situation, because I'm moderator, but administration
So
is
just
us.
So my presentation, well, of course I can do without slides, and well, just I cannot just go to the next slide. Can we kindly ask the? Oh, everything is all right. Everything works.
Great.
Everything works smoothly. So as it has already been mentioned by other speakers, countries nowadays put innovation at the heart of their national strategies. And according to just the latest research produced by Deloitte and dedicated to innovative strategy of China, and comparing innovation strategy of China with the rest of the world, the countries put just innovative strategy of the whole country at the heart of their economic policies. So we may see the United States in its memorandum on the financial year 2019 administration research and development budget priorities. We may see that it proposes to just well support innovative basic research infrastructure and talent development. So talent development is a key word of this strategy. Our conference is dedicated to, our forum is dedicated to just China, not only to the United States. And if you take a look at the strategy put forward by the Chinese government in just, which is called just realizing economic co-prosperity, we may see just the keyword, the fourth industrial revolution, and the impact and the role of the universities at the heart of it that has to support and train talents. Well, we can see that countries spend a lot of money on research and development. They realize the importance, and the latest UNESCO just research, well, dedicated to top countries by R&D investment in 2018 highlights that China takes now the second place in just allocating huge sums of money on research and development. Just in key documents dedicated to the future of their countries, the governments highlight innovation and the role of universities in just boosting it. So just in the Research Universities and the Future of America document and survey, just it is emphasized as a process of economic growth and fulfillment of national goals. American research universities become main and arguably the most powerful economic assets of the nation. In the 25th recommendations for America Competes Act, and it was produced in 2013, just 14 out of 25 recommendations just talked about the importance of research universities. So in terms of competition, where innovation plays an important role, 14 of 25 recommendations highlighted the role of research universities. The National Governance Association of the United States also addressed growing expectations that universities will reduce the gap between research and commercialization as one of the main traits of economic development. Just the topic of my research highlighted just innovation strategies. And whereas in the year 2001, innovation strategies of the vast majority of universities concerned research activity, organizing partnership with industry and licensing inventions, well, just 10 years later, we may see just the development of entrepreneurial strategy. It was highlighted by the, just moderator and the person in charge of the session, Natalia Cherkas and others. So we may see a shift, a paradigm shift from towards entrepreneurial strategy, which has become a key component in almost all research universities and was supported by the US Department of Commerce. So just what does it mean? It means the participation of graduates in education entrepreneurial programs that accelerate participation of students in organization of startups. We could hear from the previous speakers about the importance of startup activity, the latest indicators of startup activity in China and in other countries. Entrepreneurial strategy of the university implies students' participation in different forums, competitions, presentations of business plans, activity of business incubators, summer business schools, innovation clubs, etc. Just the University of Arizona is said to be an icon of just entrepreneurial education. Moreover, if you have a look at the list of the most innovative universities in the United States, we will see that University of Arizona has been taking leading position for almost 10 years in a row. Well, it pays attention on interdisciplinary and inter-organizational programs, and Michael Crow, and we will see it in the next slides, and we may see numerous, by the way, books and reports produced by University of Arizona. And Michael Crow highlights that the problem faced by each university is how best to use limited resources for performing joint research with companies and organizations for the purpose to improve their competitiveness and innovation potential. And to gain this advantage, universities create partnerships on basis of interdisciplinary, inter-organizational programs and focus on research, having the greatest potentials for new discoveries. Well, just Michael Crow, as we have already said, just claims that specific feature of major importance for new research universities that it can be considered a competitive strategy of research university as a commercial organization is to share results of research. We will hear it just today very many times, just the necessity not only to produce top, just the research of the highest level, but to share it. Well, just Michael Crow in his latest report highlights also the necessity to team up with industry. So, and he is supported by the Committee on Science and Engineering Public Policy of the United States National Academy of Science, where just interdisciplinary research is defined as a method of research performed by teams or individuals which combine information, data, techniques, instruments, capability, concepts, and theories from two or more disciplines or specialized fields of knowledge for better understanding of solving problems which cannot be solved within one discipline, industry, or area of research. American Academy of Arts and Science, in their report Unleashing America's Research Innovation Enterprise, also highlighted the importance of interdisciplinary research, creation of knowledge networks, and expansion of educational paradigms, just to bolster transdisciplinary approach. We should say that Bill and Melinda Gates, in just their recommendations, also highlighted the necessity for universities to develop and implement new models of research alliances between universities and businesses by creating programs supported by tax incentives, and it was mentioned today, so tax incentives. You will see, by the way, how China uses tax incentives to just promote such programs, to encourage business to support academic research, develop programs to finance research ideas proposed by universities and discussed with business consultants. We should say that such kind of programs became became a reality, and everyone knows about fundamental regulations and laws implemented by the US government long ago, the Bayh-Dole Act of 1980s, which entitled universities to own intellectual property. Well, and it resulted in just appearance of numerous companies and startups. So just the innovative strategy of the university is to team up with the industry and produce or to conduct research together and implement and apply the results of research. So the example is Energetic Biotechnology Institute, which joins British Petroleum and University of California, Berkeley laboratory with just University of Illinois. So we may see just how companies just pump, well, huge sums of money, millions of money for research in the field of strategic importance.
Yes, maybe we'll kindly ask you to go to conclusions because of time limits.
Yes, but we have also very important data, very important figures.
Of course.
Just we should say that China realizes the importance of spending and putting innovation at the heart and of their development, and according to Global Innovation Index, just we may see that in terms of policy, China takes the fourth place after the United States, but in terms of human capital and research, well, we may see that it takes only the fourth place, and therefore puts so much attention to the development of universities that may create talents and may team up with industry, set up startups. By the way, just as it was mentioned just earlier, well, so just in terms of the number of researchers, well, and we can see that according to just UNESCO, just a latest report, well, so the number of researchers in China, we may see, well, the Chinese universities are working so hard to increase the number of researchers and to increase the number of programs that prepare these researchers. And ladies and gentlemen, from my presentation, I will go to the presentation of my colleague who who is not capable of participating in today's session, who is in hospital now, but who asked me to just present her findings dedicated to innovative strategies of universities in China. And if you'll allow me to do that.
Yes, thank you very much, Olena, for your very interesting presentation. And I'm sure that we have many questions for you, and so do I, of course, but we will be able to see this presentation online, shared on the site of conference, and we will have your contacts, and we will be able to contact you with our questions and future discussion. And now, thank you for presenting the next presentation of Olga Drobutyuk. She is a PhD postdoc at the Department of International Economics, director of the Institute for Contemporary China Studies, named after Boris Kurtsky, National Economic University. Olga put a lot of preparation, but she was not able to join because of serious reasons, and we thank you for presenting shortly her research.
Just ladies and gentlemen, just Olga Drobutyuk. Well, by the way, just dedicates, as it has already mentioned, well, a lot of time just studying just the strategies of the Chinese research universities. So just the preparation made by her is the following. So Chinese modern competitive higher education system began 40 years ago. Still, the results of the reform are impressive, with China's leading universities, including Tsinghua University, Peking University, Fudan University, Shanghai Tong University, and others, well, just that occupy just critical position in the authoritative world rankings of higher education institutions, which accounts 31% of citations. Besides, in 2020, the number of universities included in the QS ranking increased from 13 to 42 higher education institutions compared to the year 2009. Such high positions in Chinese higher education institutions are ensured by the comprehensive policy of the Chinese government, which aimed at internationalizing education and has 3 levels: national, local, and university. The effective mechanisms of internationalization are based on involving international students, professors, for English language programs, opening branches and departments abroad, popularization of Chinese higher education through international scientific publications, which are included in the World Scientific and Metric databases. 98% of scientific publications are cited. According to a study by the British consulting company Corelli-Simons, the position of Chinese universities just is high due to academic reputation among employees, the ratio of faculty to the number of students, index of citations of scientific articles of faculty concerning the involvement of foreign professors in teaching at a Chinese university. In 2020, according to the results of the QS study on economic and legal areas of study, the best world-class universities in China are Peking University, takes the 25th place, just in economics, and 23rd in law, and Tsinghua University, 28th place in economics and 27th place by legal studies. A retrospective just analysis of the formation of the higher education system allowed us to identify the critical stages of its development. Historically, the appearance of China's higher education system took place in 4 steps: primary, transition, boom, and modernization. The initial stage covers the period of formation of higher education institutions from the 5th century to 1949. The time frame for the transition was from 1949 to 1978, when the reforms of higher education system and the Great Western Leap policy began. It was influenced by 2 higher education systems, the Soviet and the British. The boom phase was marked by profound structural reforms and began after the Cultural Revolution of 1978 and lasted until 2015. The stage of modernization and education system started in 2016 and continued to nowadays. The report is devoted to the modern stage, and the new era of Chinese higher education began in 2015 and continues to this day. So since 2015, the Chinese strategy of creating world-class universities has entered a new era to replace Project 211, Project 958 that was proposed, the double first-class university plan. The provision of the new plan continues the idea of the national plan for the medium-long term of education and development reforms, from 2010 to 2020 to improve the quality of education, promote the realization of research potential, and intensify innovation. The strategy plans to create numerous world-class universities and disciplines by the end of 2050. The Double First-Class Initiative represents China's aspiration to develop a world-leading higher education system by mid-century. It supports 42 universities, 108 disciplines, and 140 universities on the Chinese mainland to strive for world-class status. In 2017, the Ministry of Education and the National Development and Reform Commission presented the 13th five-year education development plan, which details a strategy for the development of world-class universities 2.0 with short, medium, and long-term goals. Unofficially, this plan is called World Class 2 Universities. Funding is 40 billion yuan, over $6 billion US. The main component in the financing of the educational system is government spending at the levels of central local governments, 80% in 2018. According to the report by the Ministry of Education of People's Republic of China, in 2018, the total expenditure on education amounted to 4.6 trillion yuan, about $695.9 billion, 5% of GDP. So just these figures are amazing, so staggering. 5% of GDP, including government expenditures, 3.7 trillion yuan. Well, in particular, the cost of higher education amounted to 1.2 trillion yuan. So per student, 36.3 thousand yuan. In the 2019 state budget, expenditure on education amounted to 183.5 billion yuan, 5.2% of total budget expenditures, or $26.6 billion. Compared to 2018, spending on education increased by 6%. China faces difficulties in achieving world-class higher education. First, there are fears in the government that Chinese universities are deteriorating the quality of education by deepening the expansion of higher education in the world. Second, academic culture, which requires rapid results, hinders the development of innovative and long-term research. For example, in the United States, where the practice of just die or just perish, publish but perish is cultivated, it is often balanced by recognizing the values of creativity and originality. Third, there is lack of undergraduate students with knowledge in science and technology. So in China, the key characteristics of world-class universities are numerous publications in international journals, availability of modern laboratories, large number of buildings, just faculty members, additional funding. Just Simons, president of the University of Brown, also emphasizes the importance of other factors in China: external evaluation by independent experts, accreditation procedure, student initiative for creativity, and others. So in our opinion, the success of the development of higher education as a formation of world-class universities depend primarily on the reform policy of the government, innovative development programs of universities and the country as a whole, mechanisms to stimulate scientists and fund universities. Thus, since 1978, China has made great development in its educational system. In just 4 decades, China has been able to do what other countries have done just during the period or for very, very long period of time. At present, Chinese universities are among just the 200 leaders of the world rankings of higher education institutions. In terms of the number of scientific articles and citations, China ranks second in the world after the United States. The Chinese government pays special attention to the development of education in order to increase the professional competences of professionals who are crucial for the successful development and improvement of the quality and standard of living of people. After the implementation of the policy of reforms and openness in the process of economic development, expenditures on education are continually increasing, which has had a positive impact on the school and higher education system. And on behalf of Olga Drabatyuk, I would like to thank you for just listening to the report, just with this particular slide, and hope that Olga Drabatyuk will just recover very, very soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. You're doing a very great job. Just we are on time, and we invite Denis Ilnitsky, Doctor of Science and Economics, Associate Professor at the Department of International Economics, Researcher at the Institute of Higher Education. So, and while Professor Ilnitsky is preparing, so I would like to thank Olena again for your presentation, and also I would like to add some comment that in developing entrepreneurial ecosystem at universities in China, a very great effort is given to human capital, of course, and they expand participation in international program of human capital, and then invite back professors to lead the laboratories and to use international experience at home. Thank you.
Olena, please turn off. I'm asking to turn off my presentation, but
so please try to put this green button. Great. Yes, great.
So thank you for inviting and accepting my results, and let me start. Thinking about my team, I was wondering how to tell you that the team is vital, and yesterday I found the solution when I visited Times Higher Education Global Summit, and I was listening to Jamil Salmi, and he said he gave me ideas. I wanted to share it with you. Out of 4 obstacles for development of higher education he sees at the moment, 2 of them come in infrastructure. So this makes me think, and I think you will agree with me, that it's really vital from the side of the challenges. On the other side, when we think about effective online teaching, we again highly rely on infrastructure. Let's see, out of 5, we can find infrastructure at least in 3 of the main factors that make online teaching effective. And one more slide from Jamil Salmi. He was talking about COVID challenge that we face these days, and he said that when we started this year, it was like everything was clear, but while it was developing, we see that nothing is clear what we will have in December and later. But from the topic I am presenting you, I want to offer alternative vision of how will it end, maybe not by the end of the year, but some years later. So our course will look like something more digital, something more like a network connected. And now let's get back to more infrastructure later. Fitch Ratings, which based in Shanghai, announced that 25 major cities and provinces investment plans and major infrastructure projects will total about $7 trillion that China will invest in infrastructure, and out of this, at least $1 trillion and $100 billion will be invested this year, 2020, equivalent about 60%, which was invested last year, 2019. The emphasis on new infrastructure projects, drawing attention to high-tech sectors, such as 5G networks, big data centers, artificial intelligence, electric vehicle charging stations, industrial internet, modern transportation, ultra-high voltage projects, and so on. Each of them needs educational and scientific support. Building new infrastructure has recently become top development priority for China and refers to infrastructure that is digital, smart, and innovative. In doing so, a new wave of government support for private sector participation can be seen through issuance of special bonds, encouraging public-private partnership, and the extension of credit support, which tells us that Chinese investing not only by the state, but also by private companies are invited. These plans work in concert with China's industrial policies like Made in China 2025 and China Standards 2035 plan, which together signal China's ambitious long-term strategy of becoming a global leader in high-tech and innovative industries of the future. The 2020 National People's Congress Communist Party announced that in addition to doubling investments on Made in China standards, it will spend approximately 1.4 trillion in digital infrastructure spendings program. In April 2020, National Development and Reform Commission released and revised categorization of new infrastructure to include 3 broad aspects of next generation technology: innovative infrastructure, information infrastructure, and integrated infrastructure. Our focus today is on infrastructure which is innovative, infrastructure with public benefits which support science and technology, science education infrastructure, industrial technology innovation, and so on. It takes into stakeholders list R&D institutions, research infrastructure, innovation-focused industries, and so on. As to the information infrastructure, we see the foundation of this technology. The development will be in higher education as well, and universities are active in participating in these projects. According to the estimates, investment into infrastructure products is expected to total about 2.5 trillion for the next 5-year period till 2025. China is open for foreign direct investments. Unfortunately, ultimately, openness of foreign direct investments will depend on whether the sector is mentioned in the special administrative measures for access to foreign investments negative list of this year edition and the catalog of encouraged industries for foreign investment of encouraged list in edition of 2019. Based on this list, foreign investments in internet data centers and 5G networks face most stringent restrictions, while investment in the industrial internet and in artificial intelligence are greatly perceived to be the most foreign investment friendly, with many upstream and downstream subsections featured on the encouraged list. And higher education is one of them. And getting more kind of conclusion, I want to stress on the security issues. The global high-tech industry continues to see a heightened sense of technology and nationalism, displayed through a set of mercantilist-like behaviors that link tech innovation and enterprise directly to the national security, economic prosperity, and social stability of nation. One of the foundations, global think tanks said that US and other state actors focus increasingly on counterfighting Beijing's economic nationalism with techno-nationalism initiatives of their own. So, when we talk about infrastructure, we understand that who controls infrastructure will control the future of economic development. And on this, let me get to the end, and I'm open for your questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being on time, and we appreciate your very interesting presentation. Do we have any questions from the audience? So, of course, infrastructure is highly important in China, and the Chinese government put a lot of efforts and investment in the development infrastructure for universities and expansion network development in China. Like, based on those steps, what would you recommend to implement in Ukraine, first of all?
First of all, we should take all the chances Chinese offer us. Like they said, we have one road, one belt initiative, and we have all opportunities to make networks with Chinese universities, not only Chinese, we can make global networks, and they are open for us, and we shall be open for them. Of course, it takes time, it takes some effort, and they may take some investments, but this is the future. If we talk about higher education future, we should understand that it will never be the same as it is happened due to the COVID-19 challenge. And it will change dramatically. Probably most of us expect that higher education will get back to the rooms, but probably the share of the rooms in our work as educators will be much lower in the next 10 years, probably even sooner. And even now, we are all encouraged to have conferences online, and we have classes online. And of course, it takes some investments. Like we are using Zoom, which is Chinese invented initiative, but it comes from USA. So it's a kind of cooperation between nations, and we shall be open for this cooperation too.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we are glad to invite our next presenter, Tetiana Kolomoyets, Doctor of Law Sciences, Professor, Corresponding Member of the National Academy of Legal Sciences of Ukraine, Honored Lawyer of Ukraine, Dean of the Faculty of Law, Zaporizhzhia National University. Very warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. We are incredibly grateful to the organization of this conference. Its participants and content are very useful and relevant for today's Ukrainian and Chinese legal science and education. After all, the development of these two spheres of public life becomes a condition for increased activity of globalized economic relations. And language, ethics, law are very necessary tools that improve understanding between nationals, mutually enrich and stating their viable foundations. We are convinced that this conference will revive the work between scientists of Ukraine and the People's Republic of China. In continuation of the meaningful, informative speeches of this conference, participants, we note the following.
I join the words Greaton already said, and want to add that as far as I know, the specificity of the Zaporizhzhia region development became the combination of Western and Eastern traditions of law and management. Such a phenomenon is determined by historical preconditions and geographical location in the southeast of Ukraine. The proximity of the Great Silk Road and other close communications with the many peoples of the East over the centuries have meant for us the enrichment of philosophical, ethical, and legal norms of the social regulation rules in our society. The dynamics of the Ukrainian society modern development is this region currently continue to meet the productive energy of the Eastern cultural decision, including, for instance, the deepening of economic, spiritual, and cultural ties between the regions of the People's Republic of China and entrepreneurs, educators, and scientists of the Zaporizhzhia region. In this regard, I want to emphasize that the Zaporizhzhia National University Faculty of Law continues to implement state and international programs to develop mechanisms for effectively combat corruption. For example, we held an international conference on the theme corruption risk in the public service, a comparative legal analysis of the Eastern and Western legal traditions experience on March 28, 2018. It is a sample of our research projects implementation. Currently, we carry out the national research project institutionalization of anti-corruption changes in legislation and the practice of its application in the public relation field in Ukraine. We also continue to perform international educational project, namely Pan-European Convergence of Legal, Economic, and Cultural Foundation for the Prevention of Corruption. It is implemented with the support of the European Union within the Jean Monnet program. For cooperation, we also offer the resources of the Educational Scientific Laboratory for the study of problems of service law, of the National Academy of Law Science of Ukraine. It is consisting of our faculty scientists. So we suggest to get agreement of joint educational and scientific activities on the problem of administrative law management, anti-corruption mechanisms, prevention, legal theory, etc. Accordingly, we consider it appropriate to exchange contacts with colleagues from other universities for further work on memoranda, agreements about cooperation. So I'm cordially grateful for your attention, and now we transfer possibility for continued presentation of our suggestion to Professor Головко.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your experience in cooperation. It was very interesting. And if we have more questions, we are very welcome to introduce them. And we can also introduce them later on the website, on the conference. And now we are very pleased to invite the next presenter is Dr. Mikhailov. Yes, and please introduce yourself. And the presentation is prepared together with Professor Evgen Trushlякov, candidate of technical sciences, professor rector of the Admiral Makarov National University of Shipbuilding, Mykolaiv, Ukraine.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like to present a little bit about our university and tell about our experience and work with Chinese universities in Chinese educational field. Let me start. Our international cooperation for our university is aimed at integrating the university in the world education process in order to expand international relations and initiate joint research, teaching, and educational projects. And this is one of the strategic priorities of our university in 21st century. In order to effectively implement international cooperation in the scientific, technical, and educational spheres, the university has established and operated an Educational Scientific Center of International Cooperation, ESTI. The university has a long history of cooperation with universities, research institutions, and industrial enterprises of many countries. An important factor in the development of the university in participation in international technology transfer, namely in such projects as Jiangsu Center of International Technology Transfer and Marine Engineering Institute, NUS and JOE, National University of Shipbuilding and Jiangsu Ocean University. The university implements many joint international education programs with partner universities in several countries. But first of all, we're talking about China. According to the statistic of Ukrainian State Center of International Education, NUS get first rank in Ukraine in the number of students from China, first rank in Ukraine is the number of students from Turkmenistan, and a third rank in Ukraine in the number of students from Georgia. I would like to tell you a little bit more about our educational joint programs. Our university has rich experience in this Chinese educational market, as we can say it. Since 2013 year program, which we called 4+0, has been successfully established with Jiangsu University of Science and Technology for the preparation of bachelors in specialty of shipbuilding. The program provides process for bachelors without the arrival to Ukraine. According to the curriculum, 16 disciplines are taught by our professors by coming to China every semester for 3-4 weeks. Some disciplines, it's general educational subjects, are simply enrolled through academic transfer system, and the rest of the subjects are studied by the students using our teaching and methodological materials with Chinese teachers. Each student has 2 diploma supervisors, Ukrainian and Chinese. At the end of this joint defense of diplomas is held with the presence of our professors in the commission. Also signs 211 year a combined two-stage program, which we called first stage 3+X, and the second stage 2+2, also has been successfully established. Within the framework of this program, the preparation of junior bachelors is carried out in basis of college in China. It's a Zhoushan International Maritime College. It's established by sending our specialists to China too, and without arrival of the students through the first stage to Ukraine. Training is carried out in two specialties, shipbuilding and robotics. After receiving a qualification of junior bachelors, students come to Ukraine to get a second stage, to get a bachelor degree in a short term of education in 2 years. Totally, during these two programs for few last years, we prepared more than 550 junior bachelors and about 400 bachelors in the sphere of shipbuilding and the sphere of robotics. The most important stage for us began in 2019 year, because we began a long and very hard work process in Chinese Ministry of Education with our partner university that I called Jiangsu Ocean University to obtain a general education license for 20 years till the 240 year. Within the framework of this project, a joint institute was established, a joint institute which we called Admiral Makarov Institute of Marine Technology, which is situated now in Jiangsu Ocean University base. We also make a program the type 4+0 for training bachelor's and master's degrees and specialties shipbuilding and robotics. The total volume of license was established like 960 students in a total teaching space. I can tell you that this process is very hard one, because the total number of pages only in license deal was like 1,000 pages. So the patient license under Chinese law is very complex and lengthy process. We are ready to share our experience with every university from Ukraine or maybe from other countries who would like to start the Chinese educational service markets. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. I think it was a very interesting presentation, sharing your experience and cooperation. And I'm sure that among our participants, there are many academics interested in cooperation. And now we are happy to invite Kuznichenko.
Natalia, can we ask, please, to invite Professor Volkov to speak from the Parisian National University?
Yes, please.
Professor Volkov, please.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you here. I'm so happy to. Can you hear me?
Yes, we see your presentation. Thank you.
So I'm happy to join you here. So I'm from Anhui Normal University in China now. We cooperated with Zablorya National University in Ukraine to form a Confucius classroom. This classroom, the Confucius classroom, was approved on August the 29th, 2017, and opened on December the 19th, 2018. The partners are Anhui Normal University and Zablorya National University. So our task here fall into 4 categories. So our main task here is to teach Chinese. At the beginning, we only have 20 students, but now we have nearly 200 students. And this year, we have students in Zablorya University who study Chinese as their major. Now we have 15 students who study Chinese as their major. Besides teaching Chinese, we also teach Chinese wushu. For the students in the physical education department of the National University, we teach them Chinese Tai Chi and Chinese Qigong. And besides, we also teach, we begin a cooking class for students chef students from the business school of the University. We teach them how to cook Chinese food. And also they teach them how to cook vegetarian food and also meat food. Every week, we teach them once a week. And in order to help students better learn Chinese and master Chinese characters, we specially set up a Chinese writing class once a week, open to students free of charge. The written content is the new words in the textbooks we learn, so we can not only enable students to learn Chinese writing, but also consolidate what they have learned. So that is our main task. Besides the main task, we also carried out many cultural activities. Since the first, it is on December the 19th, 2018, that is the inaugural event was held here. Both the leaders in Zablori University and the Anhui Normal University, they attend the activity. And also on March the 22nd, 2019, we held a Chinese food TV show. So the Confucius Classroom cooperated with Ukrainian social television station Zabloria to hold a TV show of Chinese cuisine in Zada Business School. After the program was broadcast, the society responded enthusiastically. At the request of the audience, the TV station recorded another program on April the 20th, 2019. And the program was divided into 3 10-minute episodes and broadcast to all of Ukrainian. Also, thirdly, we participated in the Chinese bridge competition last year and this year also. Last year, on May the 24th, for the first time here, we participated in the Chinese bridge competition. We have no experience because it's the first time we have no experience, but the students and the teachers are carefully planning and prepared. So our team won the 3rd prize in the competition. Also, we began to organize the Chinese tests. On May the 20th, 2019, we held our first SHK test. A total of 64 students registered for this exam, and 52 students finally passed the exam of different levels. For example, such as YCT1, SHK1, SHK2, and SHK3. Among the students who passed the exams this time, the oldest is in their 60s and the youngest as young as 8. In September this year, our class has successfully applied for the Chinese Language Test Center, and we have successfully held the test in September 19th, 2020. Now, last year, we also organized the students to participate in the One Belt and One Road National Youth Student Chinese Bridge Summer Camp. In August 2019, we recommended 3 students to participate in the One Belt and One Road National Youth Students held by Hanban in Beijing and Henan Province. Our 3 students also performed Tai Chi as martial arts representatives, which was highly praised by the TV organizers. Now, also besides this, last year in September, we also organized a delegation of non-educators to visit China. They are also, that's also a great success. Last year in November, from the 7th to 10th, our Confucius Institute also participated in the Belarusian Wushu competition. This is the Confucius Institute Cup Martial Arts Open Tournament that was held in Belarus National University of Sport and Tourism. The Confucius classroom has organized 5 members to participate in the competitions of Taiji sets, Gunshu and Daoshu, etc. They have won 10 medals, including 6 gold medals and 4 silver medals. They are the most important team among all the participating teams, which has left a deep impression on the organizers. Besides this, we still have other activities. In the summer of July 2019 and in the summer of 2020, we took advantage of annual summer martial arts training held by the Wushu Association to open a short-term Chinese language training course. The trainees were divided into batches, a total of nearly 200 students. And last but not least, last year marked the 70th anniversary of the founding of the New China. So on the morning of October the 1st, the Confucius classroom held a series of activities such as raising the national flag, playing the national anthem, and performing artistic performances on the square of the main building of Zaporizhzhia National University. Zaporizhzhia State TV5 sent reporters to the scene and broadcasted to the whole state at 7 p.m. prime time. At the same time, the news department of Ada reporters also reported this event. As long as we have a long way, we still have many other activities. So that's my that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was extremely interesting, and I believe for all participants, they will have more questions for you because you did a lot and in all the direction, and we are happy to hear about the success and about the activities. Would we be able to hear the Volodymyr Volkov as well?
Not very clearly. What?
I've also asked to invite Professor Volodymyr Volkov.
Yes, you can hear it.
Yes, a doctor of technical sciences, honored worker of education of science, director of the Confucius School from the Ukrainian side, Zaporizhzhia, Ukraine. Very warm welcome.
Сьогоднішній конгрес є визначною подією, в якій ми приймаємо участь. Сьогоднішній день ми вважаємо нашою подією, яка відбувається в умовах коронавірусу, але разом з тим вона не тільки роз'єднує, але й об'єднує нас. Тому на сьогоднішній день ми маємо таку приємну, скажімо, участь для того, щоб можна було поділитися своїми думками, планами і побажати всім не тільки успіхів, але й здоров'я. Тому я бажаю всім учасникам здоров'я, успіхів і натхнення. Хай щастить. Дякую.
Дякуємо, щиро дякуємо. Thank you very much, and a very interesting presentation from your university. So maybe we have any questions from our participants. So I believe we'll be able to add our questions later. And now we are very glad to invite Professor Kuznechenko Sergei, yes, and he's Doctor of Law, Professor, Honored Lawyer of Ukraine, Vice Rector of the National Academy of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, Kyiv.
Hello, friend. Do you listen to me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, do you listen to me?
Yes, yes.
Hello, friend. My report is titled Problems of Development of Departmental Education and Science in Ukraine and China. China has been a strategically important partner of science Ukraine independence. This is a country that was first in December 1994 to provide Ukraine with nuclear security guarantees in connecting with our country's renunciation of nuclear weapons. Determinants for the development of the legal framework of relations are the joint communique of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Ukraine and China in Kyiv in 1994. Cooperation between Ukraine and China in the field of education and active development. Ukrainian citizens study in cities in Chinese university, and almost 10,000 Chinese students study in Ukraine university. Direct contacts have been established between many higher education institutes of Ukraine and China. 35 Ukrainian universities have links with 98 higher education institutes and research institutes in China. The practice of student exchange at the interest level continues. As part of the implementation of the agreement on cooperation between the Ministry of Education of Ukraine and China signed 1998, the quota of the accession of student and graduate students has been increased. Relation and maintained with higher education institute of the China, where Ukrainian language departments are open. In 1998, an intergovernmental agreement was signed between the government of Ukraine and the government of China of mutual regulation of documents of educational and academic titles. According to the agreement, the Ukrainian and Chinese parties recognize the certificates of completion of secondary school and well as diplomas issued by higher education institutions. The Ukrainian and Chinese parties also recognize diplomas award of other parties. The system of higher education in Ukraine and China are quite similar, as both are based on the principles laid down in the USSR and are being reformed in accordance with the requirements of the Bologna process. But unfortunately, we cannot see a broad interaction between higher education institutes of power structure of our states. For example, in the organization, the units of European Police School, CIPOL. Within the framework of this company, there is an exchange of cadets and teachers, holding international conferences, exchange of scientific literature and methodological material. In our opinion, it is the time to create appropriate associations with China. Today, we want to share some view on the reforming departmental police education in Ukraine. We believe that this will be interesting to our Chinese partners to improve the national departmental educational system in China. Analysis on the formation and development of the departmental education system of police officer at the current stage of reforming the state system of Ukraine in education the following ways to improve it. First, develop effective proposition for tax policy reform so that charitable and sponsorship activities for Department of Education of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. Second, carry out work of consolidation and creation of regulation department education complex around leading education institute. Such, for example, should be Kharkov National University of Internal Affairs and National Academy of Internal Affairs. Third, create an effective system of determine the needs for customers, practitioners, police bodies, in the specialists with different level of qualification. Fourth, develop of the department level effective measure of support of social protection of the subject of educational process. This is especially true of teaching staff of educational institutes. Five, to expand the department system of postgraduate training of police officers. The emphasis should be on the priority areas of legal science development and the needs of practice, not only today, but also in the future. I think this position will be interesting for our Chinese partners, especially for police school or police academy Chinese. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Maybe we have some questions. So I would like to thank all of you for very interesting presentations, for fruitful cooperation. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a question. We have a question. Please, Professor Ilnitsky.
I have a question for everyone. Many of you have experience with teaching Chinese students. Maybe some of you have experience what further careers of these students who left Ukraine and maybe they went to China or they stay in Ukraine after graduating your universities. No experience?
So, dear colleagues,
no.
maybe from Zaporizhia University.
I also wonder about requirements the Chinese ministry holds for the students, and if they are higher than in Ukraine or Ukrainian requirements are higher. You can compare, of course, with European or American ones, if you have kind of experience too. We have foreign participants, not just Ukrainians. Maybe they have something to say.
Maybe we will post this important question in the group, yes, and as I know, our panel is going to be posted on the website of Asian International Congress, as well as presentations of all participants, and we will ask for posting some questions and discussion to enable cooperation and networking later after the end of this panel. And of course, we are very glad that our panel had so much interest in Ukraine among the participants, and we had so many interesting presentations and distinguished presenters. And I thank you, all of you, for sharing your experience. As we received notice from our organizers, so all Ukrainian participants will receive certificates of participation within 2 weeks, and they will be prepared by a So once again, we want to thank all of you for your presentations, and maybe we would like to ask just closing remark from organizers that made this event possible, and we thank you organizers for their efforts. so probably we don't have final remarks. So once again, thank you for presenting your research, sharing your experience, and wish all of you a good evening. Yes, and hope to see you in the next events. Thank you all.
May I add 1 second?
Thank you.
I want to thank Natalia Cherkas for good leading us through this conference, and I want to wish her happy birthday, which she celebrates today. And I hope everyone joins with that.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Very nice of you.
Thank you very much. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And happy returns of the day.
I'm happy to share this day with you. It's a very
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye to everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
До свидания.
До свидания.
Дякую.
Дякуємо вам.
Дякуємо.
Залишайте свої,
Дякуємо. Дякуємо.
так, свої контакти для отримання сертифікату.
Для отримання оставити потрібно, але вони у вас вже є.
Якщо ви член центру, то вони вже є. Ви член центру?
Так.
Так, то не треба залишати, ми згідно тих даних, які вказували під час реєстрації. Не треба.
Добре, дякую.
Дякую.
До побачення.
До побачення.
Дякую вам.
Дякуємо.
Дякуємо вам.
Дякую, до побачення. Це було
Дякую.
дуже цікаво.
Дякую, до
По-грузинськи діді Мадлоба.
Дуже дякуємо.
Дякуємо за організацію.
Михайло, а я, по-моєму, не член центру.
Олександр, ми вас знаєте, вони хвилюються.
Дуже дякую за запрошення, було дуже цікаво.
Дякуємо вам. Дякуємо. Олександр, Львів з нами був на зв'язку. Дякуємо.
Щасливо.
Щасливо.